Okay, I had
which
a
is a good lecture.
acquaintance from Kashmir, Dr. Arif. He was pursuing his PhD in Delhi University. Right now, where is he? I do not know. But we had a contact while we were there in NLU Delhi.
Ma'am, what is his name?
Arif, I believe. Arif. Am I audible?
Arif,
Yes,
Arif.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
Ma'am, I am
yes,
audible,
ma'am.
but I don't know who is he.
Okay, then it's
Here
fine.
is a
Fine.
lot of PhDs, scholars. I
Okay,
am from Pulwama.
fine. We'll start with the topic then.
Okay. Yes, definitely, ma'am. So we've started our live stream as well.
Okay.
So good evening, everyone. So welcome to our webinar 5 of our Child Rights and Wellbeing series. So I would like to introduce our speaker for the day. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Ms. Indira K, Assistant Professor at Government Law College, Chengalpat. Ms. Indra holds dual master's degree in law, specializing in international law and constitutional law and criminal law and criminal justice administration. Her extensive legal practice includes experience at both Supreme Court of India and High Court of Madras, with a focus on labor law, criminal law, family law, service law, and tax law. Notably, she has also drafted and argued numerous public interest litigation cases. In addition to her distinguished legal practice, Ms. Indira K has a robust academic background. She has served as an assistant professor at various prestigious colleges across Tamil Nadu and Bangalore, um, and Assam as well. So she has recently submitted her PhD thesis on child rights law with a specific focus on foster care and alternative care for children. I'm particularly honored to introduce her because she was my professor during my LLB as well as LLM. Uh, and during my undergraduate years, she used to teach us family law and labor law. And during postgraduate in criminal law, she covered juvenile delinquency and drug addiction. Her passion for teaching and knowledge sharing made her classes a highlight for many students, including myself. So her unique approach of integrating current affairs with theoretical concepts deeply influenced my interest in research and advocacy, particularly in the area of child rights. So, Ms. Indra, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to speak on our Law Comrade YouTube channel. We are excited to share your thoughts and insights, and the forum is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Subramani, for such a uh, what was it, magnanimous introduction. Uh, Okay, and it was not only Subramani, even his wife Kritika is also my student actually in UG. So only she started talking with me, so I was not able to talk to her for a long time. So that's the thing. Thank you so much for both of you. And while they are a student, a UG student itself, they are starting. They have done these kind of works like they started their YouTube channel and they started to conduct these kind of online webinars at that time itself. And now also they're continuing it. So I feel that's a very wonderful and an interesting thing because it's sharing of knowledge. At the end, we are just disseminating knowledge, and this kind of a forum will allow us to also discuss on various topics on an academic and an intellectual level. That's the thing. So that is the thing. So that's a good initiative from both the sides. I mean, Kritika and Subramani, thank you for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, I'll start with the topic, and this topic is with regards to right to family. That was the main topic which was given to me by Subramani. Sometimes I may be little fast while I speak. If you find any difficult, because you people belong from different regions and different places, so at times you may find it difficult to understand. If such kind of any difficulty is there, you please kindly let me know so that I can stop and I can again repeat it and I can move on. So that's the thing. So the topic for today is the main topic is child right care. On that line only this webinar started. So that's the thing. So when it comes to right to child and everything, the first and foremost thing, the child gets a protection, or the first thing the child witnesses is the place, is it's a family. That's its family actually. But do you all accept? I believe the session, if it is interactive, it will be very nice. I have few slides also to share with you. But initially, I want to know the level of knowledge which you people have, so that it'll be easy for me to go into those details which you are not aware of. rather than going for each and every details. It will be because it's 60 minutes of duration, so I should do justice to the whole topic. So because of that, initially 5 or 10 minutes, if it is interactive, it will be very nice. Let the Q&A session be at the end, but I'm asking, if I ask a question, if you will be able to interact, that will be very good, so that I know what is your level of understanding of this particular subject. So that's a thing. Is it okay to all of you? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's nice. So thank you so much, Vaidegi. And the first thing, right to family, that which we're going to talk about. What is your understanding as such the term family is? What is family? Family. What is family? Why do I, you may also think that I'm asking a very rudimentary question, right? What is family? But let us please understand from that, and then we'll start, because we are going to talk on a topic, right to family environment, because under the UNCRC also, it is guaranteed that every child has a right to have a family environment. So for that sake, I'm asking you a question. What is family? What is your understanding of the terminology family?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, family can be summarized as a small unit where a child is born. It can be a small unit where he or she has taken birth. It can also be an extended family comprising of your biological relatives. And in modern day way, we can include our community can also be our family.
Okay, excellent. So I thank Shalini and Sakshi for just giving an answer to this question. Thank you so much for that.
Hello, good evening, ma'am. I
Good
would want to add something to this. I am
evening.
Lavish Minota, research scholar, and I am working on juvenile rights.
Okay, excellent. Tell me.
Yeah, as per me, family is not just biological. Anywhere where the child feels safe, secure, and belongingness. That can be biological, that can be even the neighbors. I think the world is a family, as our PM says. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much.
Ma'am,
Also, where the
ma'am,
rights and interests of child are protected, like they are secure.
Okay, Neha, thank you. And yeah,
family
someone.
means group. Family means group of people. Yeah, small or small unit of people.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed, for that. So thank you so much. I never expected this group will be such an interactive group. Thank you so much for that. Uh, yes, of course, as you all said, family is a small unit, or it can be a tradition. When you say traditionally a family, it can be even an extended family. All these things are right, and that was a wonderful answer by the Lovish Minocha. That's as she said, the place where the child feels comfortable. Even a neighbor can be a family, and she wanted to cite Prime Minister for that, where she said the world is a family. Or yes, of course, that's right. Everything we cannot, when we say in a broader angle, we can say all these things are family. But as you people cited, family is a small unit. It's a small unit, or it's a group. Everything is fine, but it's first and foremost thing. It's an institution in the society. It's an institution in the society. There are various institutions that are functioning in the society to make the society functional. To make the society functional. So the first and foremost primary institution, or a social institution, which is very primary, if you would consider, it's a family, because there are various other social institutions as well. Education as an institution, legal as law as an institution, and we have religious as a religion as an institution. So political thing as an institution. All these things are there. But family is a very basic social institution in the society. As you all said, there is a small unit. It can be, if you take nuclear family, or if you go for a traditional setup, it can be a joint family system, or it can be an extended family system. So there are various types of family that was prevailing in the Indian society from time immemorial. So that can be a different concept and different types of family. And now we have moved to the concepts of a very magnanimous thoughts of, say, even considering world as a family. So that's all different dimensions of understanding family. But family is a very basic or a rudimentary social institution. Why the social institution is created in the society? why the social institution is created in the society. If you go and understand in a sociological angle, family is where they say it's a place where your tensions are balanced, your tensions are managed. That is what they say when they come to talk about family. Because imagine if there is no there are even people, we are going to talk about them, there are children, there are people who do not have family, or right from their birth, or there are children or people who have a family but in between they lose their family due to various reasons. But imagine when there is no family for a child, what would be the situation? Or if an adult also, for an individual, if he doesn't have a family, what would be his situation? It's not that me who says this answer, it's a psychological understanding, and we have a psychological study which says that family is very essential for every individual. It's a psychological understanding as well as a sociological understanding, because if you don't have a proper family, there is a high degree of chances that a child or an adult may tend to exhibit all his tensions cannot be relaxed, so he may try to be little aggressive. His mood swings and behaviors will be different, and there is a high degree of chances in the future he may commit certain crimes. But of course, I do admit there are also instances where family itself is a reason for people committing crime. That is also there when we're going to talk about, when we generally discuss about white collar crime
Excuse
and
me,
all.
ma'am.
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Actually, as you said, if a person doesn't have a family, he tends to end up into crime. This is one of my hypotheses also. Ma'am,
Oh,
how do we prove this? Like, do we have studies or reports that say I'm just trying to help myself to understand the research?
okay, that's nice. So, see, of course, there are studies actually. You should go and research on psychological angle, where we have studies of Jean Piaget's ball-based theory, attachment theory. We have these kind of theory which says that where the child initially, if at all, if it has a disturbance in its initial formation, we call that as primary caregiver actually. So, when there is no primary caregiver, or if there is a change in primary caregiver from time now and then, there is a high degree of chances that the child may tend to exhibit criminal activities or criminal tendency in the future. So that is the thing. So if you're interested, you can go and refer ball by BOWLBY, ball by theory, that is attachment theory. And also you can go and refer theories relating to formation of cognitive ideologies. When cognitive development, we call this as child development. Under psychology, there we call this psychology, we call this as so child development. Under the child development theories, we have various types of theories. Okay, in chat box there is someone who has posted something. The person from the disturbed family also commits mistakes. Yes, I'll talk about it actually, because Vaidehi is trying to speak about broken family actually. I'll talk about it. But initially, when we talk about this social child development, we have psychological theories which is pertaining to cognitive development of children. So, child development includes the cognitive development. At the stage of cognitive development, we can categorize the age in which the child grows actually. So, if you go and see those theories, there we have Jean Piaget's theory, we have Ball-based theory, and Erickson's theory. So, as you said, it's your hypothesis. You can go and refer these theories so that it will be easy for you to establish on an doctrinal approach. On a doctrinal approach, if you're trying to establish this in a non-doctrinal approach, you have to prepare a certain set of questionnaires, which will be where you can cull out from the people's thought, so that you can observe from the people how what they think about their family, how what sort of support the family has given to individuals. And you have to go and talk to children who are staying in orphanages or any childcare institutions. Think what is their understanding of family, how do they miss their family, how do they miss their primary caregiver. These things needs to be seen actually.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. And there are also questions in the chat box. Please shed some light on increase in vulnerability as a result of lack of family. I'll tell you, I'll talk to you about that. Mm, yes. The thing is that if you see these theories, when you look into this, so family is a very important unit, you will understand actually. So family as an important unit, not only for children, again and again I'm telling you this, even for adult, family is a very important entity. But today in the modern world, we are talking about temporary systems of families, which we are now moving on. Like our temporary system of family, it's not like formally I'm trying to tell you. For example, we do not want to have permanent relationships. Like family, when you speak about family, marriage also comes with it, kinship also comes with it. But nowadays the forms of marriage has changed. We have been going for living together relationship, I mean live in relationship, and we have been open relationship, all these things we are talking about. But the problem is that we are in transition stage. You may ask me immediately, in the Western society these things are prevailing, so there you may say that the crime rates are higher in numbers. If you go and refer, if you go and see, there are increase in crime rates. There is no denial in Western countries. And moreover, there, if you go and refer, you could see, I mean, commitment of crimes is not only as the traditional crimes which are taking place in India. There are also, we have crimes taking place because of psychological reasons, like psychopaths are higher in numbers in case of Western countries. So these are the reasons. The reason being, you need some stability whereby you can feel that that is a tension relaxation or a tension management system is your basic unit, is your family actually. After that, all the things comes. In fact, Western countries, they have a system where if I don't have anyone at my home to vent out my emotions, I can call someone where they'll be charging me for an hour, and that person will come. I can vent out all my problems to that person. Later on, that person will go away. He will not say anything or he will not comment on it. It's not a permanent relationship. For 1 hour, that person will come. I can vent out all the things which I wanted to share. So if you understand these things, what we are expecting is that we always expect a person where we can go and talk to them. So who does this to any person in initial stages of their formation of their life is their family. So family is the basic unit. Sociologically speaking, it's a primary social institution in a society. This family, as per the UNCR's United Nations Convention on Rights of Child, as well as by the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as well as by the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. All these international instruments emphasizes on family. So right to establish a family, right to form a family, because this is very much important. Everyone has a right to form his or her own family. So how does that can happen? That right to form a family can happen on various ways, either through marriage or through adoption, through surrogacy, anything that can happen. We have now various methods of establishing one's own family. In fact, we have gone to an extent where there's no requirement for marriage, but we can have children. So that kind of an extent we have gone now. So these are the things that are there. But the problem is that what these theories, because of that, I cited these theories, and moreover, as a researcher, she pointed out the right question. So only I cited those theories. We are talking about these kind of advanced modern days systems, like as a single mother, I can grow my child, I can have my own child, but I don't want to go for a marriage. We all talk about it. But psychologically speaking, what they say is that the where you are living in a traditional society, still we cannot say that Indian society has moved ahead forward towards a modern development. There are still traditional practices that are going on. So if a child is able to see a child is having another child is having a mother and a father, if this child does not have a mother and a father, this child may have a psychological difficulties or psychological difficulty in adjusting to the situation. That is what the psychologist says. So though we are talking about a modern day developments, like where without getting marriage also we can have children, all these things when we talk about, but we are ultimately we are affecting a child's psychology. After that, as it grows on, you explain to the child, that is all different scenario. But initially the child may find a difficulty during its growth and development. That is the thing that is prevailing. So because of that, if you go and see these international instruments, they emphasized for a family. They emphasized for a family, where they said every individual has the right to establish a family actually. So but do you all admit one thing actually? Everyone has the right to have a proper family? Everyone, do they have the opportunity to have a right family? Do you admit do you admit that everyone in the society has the opportunity to have a proper family?
Yes, ma'am, I feel it's a basic human right. to have and to get the love of your own family.
Exactly, we have that as a right, but whether everyone is uh, given with an opportunity, whether do everyone has that opportunity to have a family? No. So,
I know there are many instances where we find children without their families, and not only children, there are many instances where adults are also without their family support.
exactly. So that's the thing actually. So it is not that everyone is gifted with the opportunity of having a good family or a family as such. So this is reason. The reason being is that see, everyone do not have that an opportunity. That could be of various reasons. One of your friend has asked me to shed light on the increase in vulnerability as a result of lack of family. I'll be discussing that. And also see, everyone, though it's a right, as rightly pointed out, Ms. Aurora has rightly pointed out, that's a right. There is no denial on it. Family is every individual should have a family. That is a right. But unfortunately, there are people who do not have the opportunity of having their own family. And rightly pointed by another girl, don't remember her name, sorry. Just prior, she said, it is not that only children do not have the opportunity to have a family, even adults do not have the opportunity to have a family, of course. Because of this, in India, what we have done is that in order to protect this aged population as well as the children population, we have taken various measures. So, in order to protect the aged population, because see, even as an adult, there are people who do not have a proper family or a family. But when it comes to senior citizens, when they are very aged, they might have had a family, but unfortunately, all of a sudden, the son or the daughter may not interested to take care of the parents, or due to their various other reasons, they may not be able to take care of their parents. So, because of that, they are let alone. So, for that sake, we have certain measures like Senior Citizens Act, we have Senior Citizen Protection Act, we have so, and also we have certain schemes that are there under the Constitution, and there are also policies that are related to protection of aged people. But our topic for today is not about aged people. I'm not going to touch on that in detail. So there is a separate study for this gerontology and all these things where they are given protection. Now, our topic for the day is children. So, as you're all rightly saying that it is not that everyone has an opportunity to have a family. There are children who do not have a family. So, what can be done for that? What would be the remedy to it? So, that was a thought that came into the minds of every individual. But even before that, what happened was that there is a question, ma'am. Fundamentally, everyone gets a right to have a family, but does everyone deserves that right? But does everyone deserves that right? Shreya, what you're trying to say that you mean to say that that everyone do not deserve that right? It is not that you are trying to say a 5 year old. On what basis you will understand whether that 5 year old deserves a family or not? How will you find out? I don't understand the question.
No, ma'am. What I'm trying to put here is
Yes.
not regarding the teens or the younger kids. I'm saying that family includes every member, right? Including the
Exactly.
adults,
Yes.
right? So I'm trying to put the question when I say, does everyone deserve the right? For example, we have a male in a family.
Yes.
By abusive, he's very like by nature, he's very abusive.
Fine.
And someone who should not who shouldn't be fundamentally having a family considering the fact that he's harmful to them at a certain extent. So do you think that right extends to that point, to that man as well?
Exactly. Very good question. Of course, Shreya, if a person is so abusive in nature and if he is not being able to even channelize in any aspect or any counseling does not work out with him, then that person doesn't deserve to have a right of family. Because of that, law itself is punishing such kind of a person. If he is a male adult member and he is abusive in nature, because of that, law punishes such kind of a person. We can give a complaint, right? We can initiate a complaint against him. We can bring him into legal action. So that person doesn't deserve a right to have a family. But it depends upon situation to situation. But as you well rightly pointed out, if a person is so abusive in nature, no, none of the counseling works out with them, or none of the suggestions or advices or any treatments that doesn't work with them. So then the one and only remedy is to leave that person. There's no denial on it. And along with that, if at all, if you feel that there should be some legal recourse that should be given to those other family members of that family, because of him, they would have got affected a lot psychologically as well as physically also sometimes. So that family members also needs to be given a rehabilitation. So that also needs to be taken into consideration. So there's no denial on your point, actually.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I
Yes,
also have a question.
yes, yes. Yes.
Ma'am, recently we are hearing about these same-sex relationships and same-sex marriages. Ma'am, do you really think कि a child, if given in adoption in this kind of a relationships,
Yeah.
मतलब, मतलब will that amount to a family structure if a child is given in adoption to such family unit, or is it advisable to give? I'm little confused. That is why I want to know about your view about it.
Yeah, it's my view I'll share actually, but maybe many of you may differ also with my view. But the thing is that it's even the Supreme Court thought the same way I thought. Because of that, they would have also rendered such kind of a judgment where they said same-sex couple can be protected, but there's no requirement that the child should be given in adoption to them, or their marriage needs to be legalized. All these things they were talking about, right? The judgment was talking about last year, or one or few months before, they were talking about the judgment. But the thing is that what I'll try to say is that, of course, they themselves may consider them as he or she, that is left to their choice actually. But imagine in a society like this, where majority population are not with same-sex relationship, or even most of the population are not even aware of same-sex relationship actually. So when they are not aware of this, or there is majority of population which is not having same-sex relationship, we have cross-sex relationship is only prevailing in that kind of a society. When this couple, when they they take a child for adoption, imagine the thoughts that will go for the child as it grows on, because you will put the child in a normal schooling. Do you admit or not? Will you put the child in a normal schooling or not, where other children also will come and study?
Certainly, ma'am, certainly, because the child has to go through the all the normal procedures which
Yes,
are
all the normal.
other, uh,
Exactly,
which
all the
any
normal.
child will go.
Yes, all the child, whatever things that it may go, all these things has to undergo actually, the child also. So when this child goes, and when there is a parents teachers meeting, imagine when this child will have either both female or both male coming to attend the meeting. Either they conduct surgery, or they change their physical appearances. That is all immaterial. Now we are talking about same-sex relationship only. So when you talk about same-sex relationship, imagine when this parents teachers meeting, one child will come, or most of the children will come with a male and a female, where the father and mother will be there, they'll accompanied. And when this children was accompanied in this sense, or even the child, if it goes, the other children speaks about their family, and this child, when it compares initial stage of formation, the child development. Because of that, I ask you people to go and refer this psychological theories of child development. In the initial stages, it may find it very hard and difficult to understand and to accept it. So, in those circumstances, if the family as well as people who are going to counsel the child is not going to properly, or is not going to channelize the child in the right direction, it may end up in some kind of a psychological trauma, is my understanding is concerned. Maybe I may be wrong, but you asked my opinion, so this is my opinion. I have a feeling that same-sex relationship, of course, it's your right. There's no denial on it. Every individual's right to have what sort of a relationship they have to undergo, they can choose. But I have a feeling that is their right, but they cannot influence someone's right. I feel the child, which is very innocent, which is very ignorant, which doesn't know anything about this, is getting affected at the very young age. I have a feeling. So this is my opinion again. Is it okay with you? Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. As Vaidegi said, and Shijona says, most people do not know, and it's a discrimination against a child. It is not discrimination against the individual, of course, but it is a discrimination against a child. So I feel, as when Subramani was introducing me, he said, my area of research was on child right, and most probably all these years I was studying only on women and children. So I have a feeling the name of right free sex relationship or relationship, open relationship and same sex relationship and different forms of relationship that are existing today. Ultimately, the person who is getting affected or an innocent soul which is getting affected is the children. So I have this my opinion. Some of you may differ, but this is my opinion actually. It is not necessary that you have to accept or agree with me, because this kind of a platform allows you to think more actually. So you can think on this line or you can conduct a research on this line, because what I'm trying to tell is all over the world, this practice are all prevailing. Same-sex relationships are all happening, adoption is taking place. But I have a feeling what the child will undergo. We need to talk to the children actually, because when we conduct this kind of a research, no, this kind of a research has to be conducted not just based on doctrinal study, it has to be conducted on non-doctrinal study. The child's thought process, that has to be questioned, that has to be known. But of course, within 18 years of children, you cannot go and question them in a various angle, but you can observe them actually, what sort of a thought it goes on, what sort kind of a situation it faces, that we can analyze actually. So that's it.
Thank you,
Ma'am,
ma'am. I also share the same feelings as you have. I asked this question because, ma'am, I have been working as a chairperson, Child Welfare Committee in Jammu and Kashmir,
Oh,
and
great.
presently I am working in Juvenile Justice Board as member.
Fine.
So I have a passion to work for children, and as you rightly said that since we have come to a stage where we are now concerned and more we should more work towards the right of children, not towards the right of parents.
Exactly. So that's the thing, because a right of parents, I'm not saying that we have to completely ignore it, but at least they are above 18 years. They have the cognitive ability to understand what they have to do, everything they know actually, at least. But these are very innocent souls. They do not know what they have to do. They do not even understand what is going around them. So because of that, as you rightly pointed out, we have to emphasize and we have to emphasize on the rights of children. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms.
ma'am,
Yes.
so the thing is, you said that, adoption, same-sex marriage, they do have a certain influence on the, growth of the child.
Exactly.
Do you think that it is because that same-sex couple have that child, or is it the fact that society makes the child believe, like externally, that you coming from, two, like a couple who are like two guys, it is wrong, and that's the reason you should feel bad?
Yes. Is it that's over your question, Ms. Shreya?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's a good question. As you said, that's a right thing. That is what we were also discussing actually. See, it's not the couple's mistake. I am saying again, I'm not saying it's a society's mistake, because society was time memorial. It was like this. I mean, of course, there may be exceptions, can never be examples. So we have in epics, or we have in certain historical understanding that there are same-sex relationship that was prevailing. That is a study, and there is also many literature regarding that. But society as a large or in general do not have such kind of a practice. So what the society will inflict in the minds of the child, or it need not take efforts to inflict. It need not, even the society need not take efforts to inflict in the minds of the child. The child itself will start observing actually. So when it observes, it may have various kinds of questions in its mind. But if you're all there in this forum, all are adults actually. So you by yourself think and see, in your young age, you might have had numerous number of questions. Either you would have not shared those questions to your parents in the initial stages, nor you would have shared initially. They would have not. They would have be reluctant to answer you those questions, or they would say, "Why do you think like this? It's not necessary to think like this." So because of that, we would have got discouraged in course of time, and we would have not even asked them any questions after that. But we would have had more and more questions in our mind. But for that, we would not have had answers. But that's all very common questions. Because of that, we did not, never had any kind of an impact. But if a few questions, we would have had even impact also. But imagine this kind of a child when it is going to observe the society at large and its family. So it may have a different thing actually. So for initially itself, it may have a conflict in its development. That is what we are trying to say. It's not that society is pressurizing. I'm not trying to tell you. Society, the child, it is not necessary that the society has to come and pressure. The society need not even talk. Sometimes imagine, as a respectful societal members, people are respecting the same-sex relationship. People also imagine. But what would happen is that the child, when it starts observing itself, it may undergo certain trauma unless and until it is able to understand it. That is what I'm trying to say, Shreya.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
I just wanted to add something here. Me and ma'am used to have these kind of discussions on whether law should go forward or whether the society should go forward. I think this kind of this topic is kind of relating to that. So I think, ma'am, you can clarify on that point, whether law should go forward or the society.
Yes. Generally, while we were discussing on this point, we will be citing on this Merton theory actually. Robert K. Merton's theory, that strain theory we will be talking about. And also we will be talking about Emile Durkheim's theory also. So in this anomy theory, we talk about as anomy theory, it's normlessness we say actually. Right? Now, when Shreya pointed it out, that's a right thing actually. Is it the society which is going to pressure the child? Because of that, you're trying to say this. On a given day, there is certain law in the society actually. That is what he is trying to say actually. So on a given day, there is a law in the society. I'm saying it is not only the law, at the same time, there is a certain set of practices because custom is also a law, right? So because of that, I can even put it in law itself. I can put the word law itself here actually. So custom is also a law, and certain law is in practice. And society is getting transition on a various angle. Now imagine all of a sudden today we are going to change the law. That is the thing actually. So law we are going to change. Same-sex relationship when we are approving, then immediately we have to approve same-sex couple getting children. I mean, same-sex relationship couple should be allowed to adopt. The law has changed here, but the mindset of the individual would have not changed. But the mindset of the society would have not changed. For that, a rudiment example I can give you. We have a Dowry Prohibition Act, which was enacted in the year 1961. 1961, we enacted a legislation called as the Dowry Prohibition Act. How many of you, as you're all well versed and many of you are PhD research scholars, and you have worked in various domains like some of you has worked for Child Welfare Committee, Juvenile Justice Board, and all these things. How many of you will say that dowry has been completely curbed in the society? The law was enacted in the year 1961, and we all know there is a law. How many of you will admit that the dowry issues has been curbed in the society and there's no giving or taking away of dowry? Do you admit? Still, we spend more or lavishly on marriages, right? Yes or no?
Ma'am, the collective will
Ah,
here. I
Madam,
will say the collective. Just am I audible?
now only you're audible. Tell me.
Ma'am, the collective will of the society is at play here. The
Yes,
collective will doesn't want to change.
exactly. That's the thing, actually. That is what we call it as individual will and collective will. J.S. Mill's will theory, actually. So here,
Yes,
though
ma'am.
the law is in place, here what has happened is that there is no point in having a law in paper. Law is in place actually. There's no doubt actually. But what is the problem is that mindset of the people has not changed. So though law has come also, there's not be any point in it. Similarly, the same-sex relationship also of the same nature actually. Even today, if today we don't have a law, tomorrow if you're going to enact a law also, unless and until the mindset of the people if is not going to change or the society is not going to change, there's no point in having a law. So only we used to discuss actually while we are discussing, we used to say only with the help of law alone we cannot bring in progression in the society. Law is just a basic step or it's a protective gear, that's it. But the mindset of the individual has to change. So when the mindset of the individual will get changed or the society will get changed, it's only through education, but not the education which you're talking about right now. It is the education which will help you or facilitate you have a rational understanding of things. So this rationality, when the rationality grows, only the law also will value, not the understand
I
that?
think you have a network issue.
Am I not audible?
Your voice is
Yeah,
breaking,
my
ma'am.
internet connection is Stable. 1 second, 1 second. Now it's clear?
Yes. Still have some problem.
1 second, 1 second.
Until ma'am connects, I just wanted to add to a point that Shreya Kandari was putting forward. She asked a question about an abusive family member. I just feel that he, more than the punishment that he deserves proper mental health and mental health care is what he needs, because yeah, ma'am has joined.
Yeah. So sorry, I was not there in between. What was the conversation is all about?
No, nothing, ma'am. I was just responding to Ms. Shreya. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that's the thing actually. So now am I audible? Am I clear? My voice is like, my line is clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah, so fine. So this is the thing actually. So even the law will not change everything in one go actually. So that is a conflict between law and the society actually. So though law comes into place also, if the mindset of the individual or the society as a whole, if it is not going to change, there will not be any purpose in enacting a legislation. So that is the thing. So that is what is it sufficient, Subramani? Do you want to go to the depths of the
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
That's it.
It's
Okay, fine. Yeah. So that's the thing. So now we are coming back to a topic. So everyone is not gifted with a family. And again, so when there is no family, what would be the alternate action? So at that particular point of time only, they started to think about the alternate measures. But initially, when we go and refer to the ancient scriptures or the laws that were prevailing earlier, you could see that their prime consideration was not children even then, because women and children were considered as vulnerable from time immemorial, and even then children were not their prime concern actually. So the prime concern was on having a child. So that too, many of you may have a question in your mind, or you may also have a thought process. If you go and see, it is only under the Hindu law we have a legislation for adoption. No other law doesn't guarantees adoption. In case of India, where we have a personal laws for every religion, as of now we have a personal law for every religion. So but what happens is that, one second, only under the Hindu law we have measures for adoption. No other things has a measure for adoption. Had you ever thought about it, why it is so? Have you ever thought why it is so? It's because initially under the Hindu system, actually, if you see, uh, is my slide visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Under the Hindu system, we had a thought actually, because why other laws? For example, Christianity should have also had a law for adoption. The reason being, if you go and study the story of Moses, Moses himself was an adopted child. Later on, he goes to the same people from where he came, but still he goes on. But even he was an adopted child. Why then they did not allow for adoption under the other religious legislations? Only the Hindu law permitted for adoption, or the Hindu religion alone spoke for adoption to a greater level. If you go and see, the reason being, under the Hindu system, we had a system called as the Pinda system actually. So what is that Pinda system? If you see, it's nothing but keeping of rice balls. If for example, if a father dies, the son used to keep a pinda. So rice and till, you call this, no, ellu we call it as in Tamil, and in Hindi we call it as till. So that's the thing. So that will be kept as a thing. So that is what we call it as pinda actually. So a Prohit will come and he will be giving some kind of a mantras, and you're saying something mantras, and they'll keep this pinda actually. So to do this, I should have a child actually. So if my soul needs to get uh, it has to get a rest in peace, then I should have a children. So they have to do this samskara for me regularly. So in order to have this kind of a system alone, in order to have this practice alone, what initially the Hindu scriptures, even before the codified law came into picture, even under the uncodified law, there was a practice of adoption under the Hindu religion. Though Moses was an adopted child, even Prophet himself had an adopted son. Though all the religion had the practices of adoption, but in one point of time they forgone that concept. The reason being, if you go and refer hadith, if you go and refer the hadith, there you could understand why Prophet lost the idea of having adoption, because you cannot say a child as you may say, I consider a person as my child, I consider as a person, I assume that as person as my child, but you cannot say this is my child, I cannot say. So that was Prophet's understanding because of the situation that he was prevailing. You can go and refer hadith for that. And similarly, even in the Christianity also, where Moses himself was an adopted child, but still Christianity did not give a law for adoption. The reason being, they thought because they never had this kind of spiritual practices after the death of the father or the mother, the son has to go and do, or the daughter has to go and do something like this kind of a system was not prevailing. And that too, even in the uncodified Hindu law, if you go and refer, it is not that girl children were adopted, it is the boy children were adopted. The reason being, those samskaras will be done only by the boy children, not by the girl children. So the son only can do it, the daughter cannot do it. So because of that, they had this kind of a system.
Also to keep the family lineage in place, so that the family doesn't just to keep on the family lineage, that the
Exactly.
family doesn't stop there.
It is not only to
Full,
keep the family
full.
lineage, they wanted to have this kind of a practice, the cultural practice they wanted.
Both the things. Full should not lose the existence. The full is the exact words that you said.
Yeah, so that is the thing. At the end, why do you want to have a lineage? That was a question actually. So if you say family lineage as well as the this both the things, if you say the cultural practices also, why do you want to have a family lineage? Of course, imagine sometimes I may have siblings, because earlier and all, at least now we have more and more of single children. We have families having only single children, but earlier we had 5 or 6 children will be there, or 10 or 12 children will be there. Why should they have a family lineage? A family lineage is somehow is going to exist actually. It is that individual, that particular individual has to have this kind of a cultural set of practices. Of course, there's no denial on your answer also. They should have a family lineage. They thought that the reason for having a family lineage is because of this actually. So because of that, under the uncodified Hindu law, they had the set of practices of adopting a child. That too, specifically, if you go and refer Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, as well as the uncodified Hindu law, you could see that the children were adopted only the what to say, Hindu children were only adopted. Hindu children only were adopted. So what are the laws that are there in India for adoption? If you see, Guardians and Wards Act, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015. 2000 is no more in place, but just for your understanding, I gave. And because from that time itself, we had an inter-country adoption and all was discussed only in that legislation earlier. Then later on in 2015, it was elaborately discussed again. And kafala system. These kind of practices are there to merely reach out adoption. So if you see Guardians and Wards Act 1890 as well as kafala system, it's nowhere close to adoption actually. It's nowhere close to adoption. The reason being, kafala system is something where under the Islamic religion, where I can take a particular child and that particular child will be sponsored by me. It may not come to my home. It can be with its own family, its own blood family itself. It can be with, and I can only just sponsor for the education, for the well-being of the child. I can only sponsor. So that is what we call it as kafala system. In the modern day practice, we have sponsorship. Under the Juvenile Justice Act, we have a system called as sponsorship. So similarly, such sort of a system is this kafala system. And similarly, in the Guardians and Wards Act, I can only consider, I can put myself as a guardian to a particular child, but that child will not be my adopted child. And what the adopted child will have those rights, that right will not be available to these children where under the Guardians and Wards Act if they are nominated. So this is the thing. So only legislation which gives complete protection for children was the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, which gave. And later on, it was the Juvenile Justice Act, which gave protection in the name of adoption. So if a child doesn't have a family, that child has an opportunity to go for adoption. This is one method we are talking about. There is also, when it comes to this legislation also, in case of Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, it is purely where only children, only Hindu children were being able to adopt, not the other children were being able to adopt. It is only the Hindu children were being able to adopt under this. Only the first and foremost legislation which came into picture was the Juvenile Justice Act. This Juvenile Justice Act alone permitted for a secular adoption. It permitted for
I
a
just have a question.
yes, yes, Subramani.
Do you mean only Hindu families can adopt, or Hindu children can be adopted? Because we do not know the religion of the child when they are orphaned, right?
No, 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 no. It's not an orphan child that will be adopted earlier under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. I mean, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act permitted for any children to be adopted. But under the uncodified Hindu law, if you go and refer, it is only will be referred. I mean, only adopted. For
Okay.
example, I may have some relatives. They may have children. So I can go and ask them, will you give your child for adoption to me? Or any of a Hindu family which is living in my vicinity, I can ask them, will you give your child for adoption? That is how they asked actually. So it is
Okay.
only the Hindu child as well as by a Hindu parents. So that was there.
Okay.
So 1956
Uh,
legislation only, yes.
Ma'am, please correct me
Mhm.
because I've read it somewhere. I don't know the source. I don't remember the source exactly of it. Ma'am, it was only the Hindu son which can be adopted earlier. There was no provision for adoption of girls.
Yeah, that is what I told you. Only the son can be adopted, not the daughters. I mean,
Not the daughter.
yeah, yes, exactly. Because of that, I told you, it is no, only to do these cultural practices, they wanted the son that too. Because if at all, if that were, it was only to have a family lineage or to maintain the family hereditary, they would have had son, daughter, both the things actually. But to do this complete samskara alone, they had only the son actually, not the daughter. And moreover, as we all know, as you all said also, earlier it is only the son who takes the lineage. That was also was a belief that was there. Now it is changed, but earlier it was only the son who can take the family lineage. That was our understanding, right? Because of that.
Ma'am, I just have a question. Can I come in?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, relating to like Hindu adoption and the adoption done in under JJ Act.
Huh.
So, is there is any difference, or now JJ will prevail, or which? What is the difference between these two adoptions, basically?
With regards to JJ Act and with regards to Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, you're asking, right?
Yes.
Yes. See, with regards to Hindus, even now you can go with Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act was a practice which was earlier. But once the Juvenile Justice Act gave a recognition and a legal sanction for adoption, now everyone is have to undergo the process of Juvenile Justice Act, not the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. The reason I'm telling you, the reason is under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956, if you go and refer, it will only speak about the methods of adoption, who can be adopted, how it can be, how can adoption take place. That is what is mentioned. But in the name of adoption, what has happened, which was rightly pointed out in Lakshmikant Pandey versus Union of India case, actually. So what happened is that in the name of adoption, there were kidnapping taking place. So children were trafficked. These kind of issues were taking place. So because of that, what they did is that the Juvenile Justice Act alone now can prevail, not the any other legislation. The reason being, under the juvenile justice system, you have a particular system called as the CARA, Center for Adoption Resource Authority. So this Center for Adoption Resource Authority will have a list of people who are registered to have children actually. So you can register there and you can wait for your turn to come, because it will go on the seniority basis actually. So you have to wait for your turn to go. And once a child has been and the children were till 6 years, they'll be trying to see whether the child can be adopted at that time itself. Now if there is no possibility, then the child will be sent to other alternate methods, which I'll be discussing to you. So what they do is that by either any of the family members are coming forward to take care of the child, they'll be confirming the child welfare committee. They, in the sense, the child welfare committee, as per the Juvenile Justice Act, they'll be waiting for the someone to come forward to take care of the child. If none of the family members are going to take care of the child, then if the child is below the age of 6 years, they immediately send the child to the specialized adoption agencies. So the specialized adoption agencies will be registered under the CARA, and the CARA also will have the prospective adoptive parents list also. So now the parents and the children will be made to meet, and if the parents are willing to take the child for adoption, then the child will be sent to the parent. And for that, we have various steps to be followed, because my family, whether it's a right family for the child to grow, that will be verified. So for that, members from the CWC, CARA members will come and they will verify from the specialized adoption agencies. The members will come, they will verify, they'll have a checklist actually. So they will verify whether this particular home is a safe environment for the child to be given in adoption. After all this verification alone, the child will be given in adoption. And after adoption also, there will be monitoring mechanism where on a regular basis, the agency authorities will come and verify whether the child is securely protected, where the child is growing in a very well-versed environment, or psychologically does the child faces any kind of a trauma or a problem. All these things will be checked in a regular interval. Later on, after a period of time only, that child will be given completely in adoption to them, and after that the verification process will be little minimal actually. So that's it. So to follow this, we cannot go under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act. So we have to go only under the Juvenile Justice Act.
So, ma'am, there is a change basically. Like you mentioned, the age 0 to 6 for the adoption, but as per the amendments made in JJ, the age is maximized up to 18 years.
No, the thing is that even now, even at that particular point of time also, 0 to 6 years was a age limit which is kept. The reason being, the child will have a easy option for getting adopted. Even till 18 years, you can adopt. There's no denial on it actually. But the child to get adjusted to the situation is very minimal. So because of that, the CWC gave certain other alternate measures. Of course, if the child has an opportunity and the prospective adoptive parents are willing to even adopt a child above the age of 7 years, then the CWC will not come in between you and the child actually. But the law has permitted it. There's no denial on it. But generally what they do is that if the child is above the age of 6 years, they are sent to a proper care mechanisms where the child, because we cannot wait till the child getting 18 years. Till the time the child cannot just languish in child care institution as it is like an orphan child. So for that, they have another alternate mechanism. That is what we call it as foster care actually. So because of that, I wanted to talk about that. Next topic is about foster care. So I just stopped there at 0 to 6 years. Till
So,
18
ma'am,
years,
just one more question.
yeah.
CWC always intervenes in the adoption part, basically, just for the legal free procedure, right? If I'm mentioning correctly, for declaring the child legally free for adoption,
Yes, to
CWC is the
declare
main.
the child free for adoption, CWC will necessarily involve actually.
So in each adoption case, like in Hindu adoption, the adoption which in the like kinship adoption, basically, like a child from elder like other family adopted in some extended family or some other family. So in that case also the child is declared legally free.
Gaurav, actually now the law does not permit for this kind of a kinship adoption and all. We permit for a kinship care, but not for a kinship adoption. Kinship foster care is there, kinship care is there. But kinship adoption, if you want to do also, you have to register it. So where will you go and register? What is a mechanism to register? So for that mechanism only, you have to inform the CWC that you are going to do this kind of a kinship adoption. Later on, that will be registered in the books of the CARA actually. Because in various places, various methods are followed. But the thing is that when it comes to kinship adoption, you may say, maybe, for example, elder brother is there, younger brother is there. Younger brother has children, but elder brother do not have child. Elder brother may take from child from the younger brother. But here, when if it is not going to be registered, that is not an issue. It's an informal adoption that is going to take place. So it is not an issue. But if you want to register it properly and you want to have the sole right of the child for your own, then you have to go and approach the CWC, because the CWC will verify whether it is good for the child, whether the child will not have any problem in the future. That has to be referred. This is what the law is. Again, what is the practice is different. As I told you for Dowry Prohibition Act alone, the same thing. The law is this. This is a practice. But if you're going to informal adoption with your kinship, with your own family members, then you do it without even intimating CWC. And how come CWC know when you're not going to intimate it? Do you understand, Gaurav?
Agree with your point, ma'am. One thing more, otherwise, just I will stop at this question only and not
No, not
extending
an issue, not an
my
issue.
questions, because otherwise this discussion will be bilateral. So apologies, guys, for that. All other participants. So my question is basically, if the child is declared legally free, then the right from the elder brother's family or younger brother's family, when child is moving into adoption, so the rights of the child in elder brother's family basically were removed from there, and where the child is placed, the rights will the child will entertain rights there,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So one thing that I want to add is, now a recent research came in which like 34% is the data in which the
A very
adoption
old
children came
data.
back.
Yeah, that is a very old data actually. That is a difficulty of adoption actually. So, but there is a positive aspect also of adoption. Earlier, under the Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act also, thank you Gaurav for highlighting on that, 34% of children has been returned back after getting adopted. They have been returned back, they are saying. Why they did so is that the law allows for it. The 2015 Act says that if you are not able to take care of the child, if you're not interested to take care of the child anymore, so return back the children. The reason being, rather than keeping for myself and abusing the child or not taking care of it properly, it is better to return the child. So for that sake, on that aspect, I see it as a positive note. But the second difficulty is that when I return back the child again goes for a psychological trauma, where they say that in the initial days itself, the initial formation of years itself, if the child is going to have disturbances in their primary caregivers, if the primary caregivers are going to change now and then the child may face some kind of a mental trauma, they say. So that way it is not good actually. So for that sake, what we are trying to say is that rather than going for an adoption, because that's what, for that only I said till 6 years only I am going to emphasize. I said the reason being, till 6 years a safer thing actually, because after 6 years till 18 years the law permits, you may say, but after 6 years if I'm going to adopt a child, the child also find it difficult to adjust with me, and I may also find it difficult to train the child according to my whims and fancies actually. Because although we say no, I'm going to give a protection to the child, because of that I'm going for adoption, I don't have a child in my family, so I'm going for an adoption. But ultimately, if I come in the name of a parent, I want the child to be the way I wish the child to be. That is what is the expectation of every parent in the society. Am I right or wrong? Yes, so that because of that we say till 6 years it's a very safer thing actually. So after 6 years, if it is, then it is better, because 34% of the children are returned. That is a one correct data which you are trying to point out. Because of that, we had another measure called as the foster care system. So what is this foster care? If you see, foster care is nothing but either it can be an individual foster care or a group foster care. Even in the 2000 legislation, this term foster care has been used. But in 2015 legislation, Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2015, this foster care has been specifically defined. The term has been defined, and the procedure to give in foster care has been explained, and group foster care is also explained actually what it is. And also 2016 Ministry of Women and Child Development has framed a guideline, model guideline for foster care. So what it is, I'll just tell you in few minutes. Just a second.
Ma'am, also please highlight the kinship care is not mentioned in the foster care guidelines, which are recently being introduced. So how we address the kinship care and foster care? Please highlight this one also.
Yes, I'll tell you. I'm searching for the slide.
I think Gaurav, your voice was breaking. Maybe you can type your question in the chat box.
No, I was able to hear his question, Kritika. He said how this foster care and kinship care is addressed in the Juvenile Justice Act 2015. Am I right, Gaurav?
Ma'am, question is कि juvenile justice has no word like kinship. Juvenile Justice Act has no word like kinship.
Huh.
There is no definition of kinship under Juvenile Justice Act, nor in the foster care guidelines. So how kinship care is basically they are addressing kinship through sponsorship, not by foster care, which I understand from the readings from the guidelines which are introduced recently in 2024.
Okay, so 2024 speaks about the guidelines, right? Not the act. Am I right?
2024 में NIAC guidelines are introduced regarding foster care.
Yes. So that's the thing. It is only the mere guidelines. Am I right? For foster care, it is mentioned.
For foster care, these are guidelines, but in those guidelines, kinship is not considered. Only foster care is defined basically. Kinship is neither defined under the JJ Act also, and nor defined in the these guidelines also, nor in the rules JJ rules also.
Okay, thank you. I understood the question actually. Kritika, still you want him to type in the chat box?
No, ma'am, no.
Oh,
For
okay.
you only.
Yes, Kritika, I understood the question. So he's trying to say that under the guidelines it is there, but nowhere it is defined or explained. That is the thing he's trying to point out. Okay, thank you, Gaurav, for that question. So with regards to this foster care, as I told you actually, this foster care is nothing but where a system of adoption. It's not a temporary care. It's not like adoption where you have a permanent care for the children. But in case of a foster care, you will not have that permanency will not be there under the foster care actually. And moreover, the kinship care, as he said, the kinship care is nothing but where the children are able to be taken care by the relatives. Then the relatives can take care of the children actually. So that is what we call it as kinship care. But the term kinship care has not been defined anywhere under the Juvenile Justice Act 2015. There's no denial on it. And moreover, this foster care in the sense, as I told you, foster care is nothing but it's a temporary arrangement. Like imagine we had a death row convict, a woman convict. Her name is it starts with S. Death row convict. No, she gave her child for foster care because till 6 years alone you can have a child in the prison. After 6 years, you have to send out the child from the prison actually. So with the mother, the child can be there till 6 years. We speak about incarcerated prisoners' children, right? So till 6 years they can be with the mother, and later on they have to send her out, send the child out actually. So when they send the child out, she has sent for her foster care. One of her friend is taking care of the children actually. So the yes, Shabnam Hali. So the Shabnam Hali has given her child for a foster care. So what is this foster care? Is that till the parents come, because when the child is not legally free for adoption, when the child is not legally free for adoption, at that particular point of time, the CWC will make an arrangement where the child will be sent to foster care. That can be an individual foster care or a group foster care. What is this individual foster care in the sense? As an individual woman, I can also go and approach the CWC, or if the mother herself knows me or the father himself knows me, they can give the child to me. I can take care of the child till they come and ask the child from me. So that is what we call it as foster care. It is an individual foster care. When it comes to group foster care, it is nothing but where a family will be there, or need not be a family. It can be even an institution. For example, like SOS Children's Village, Udayankar, these people all have a group foster care system. What is this group foster care? If you see, 8 children or 8 to 10 children will be given to a particular woman or to a particular mother. That mother will take care of the children, and they'll grow in a group setup actually, in a group setup actually. That is what we call it as group foster care actually. But the problem here is that in case of individual foster care, as reviewed or as studied or conducted research on the literature that is available in foreign countries, we could see that in case of individual foster care also, the permanency is always unstable. The reason being, see, now I am able to take care of the child, so I'll be taking care. Tomorrow, the child may not cooperate with me, or I may not be interested to take care of the child, so I'll go and give back again to the child to the CWC or to the child care institution. So now the child will have a problem in getting adjusted to every situation. So what they say is that in comparison with the individual foster care, group foster care is a better option actually. But unfortunately, what happens is that even if the child, in case of group foster care, what the group foster care authorities who takes care of group foster care, what they suggest is that they say where the children at least have a permanent stay, at least to a minimum level. If they have a permanent stay, if you send them to us, it would be better rather than sending children who will be only staying for 6 months, because this is affecting the children who is already there. The reason being, this child will be there, and 6 months alone, if the child is going to be there, and later on, a family will come and take care of the child. This a child who is already there, who do not have anyone to take care of it, will get psychologically disturbed because it may think, oh, some other person is coming to take care of these children, but we are not able to go anywhere. So that kind of a mental trauma will come for those children who are already there in the system. That is what they are trying to say. But compared to individual foster care, group foster care is a permanent, relatively permanent, because you will not have a disturbance where every time the children will not be sent somewhere. The child will be maximum permanently will be kept in one place, and a mother will be devoted to one child. Specifically, a mother will be nominated to that child, so that the child will have the primary caregivers attention. So that is what we call it as group foster care. Yes, Gaurav, tell me.
Can I
Ma'am,
come in, please?
according to sorry.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
please.
I'm Vaidehi.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, the child will be placed in the foster care only for a couple as per the act. But in the recent 24 guidelines, they are given an individual also.
Yes.
The guidelines will not supersede the act. When you talk about the individual foster care, it's only couple. Now, if I'm going to place a child with the individual, he or she becomes only fit person.
Yes.
That's what an individual cannot be cannot do foster care as per act. Only couple can do the foster care.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm a little ignorant on this. Will you highlight where it is mentioned? So, because as per section 44, it is not mentioned anywhere that
No,
it
no, no. Actually, in adoption can be given to an individual, whereas in a foster care, see, I served 2 terms in Child Welfare Committee as chairperson. I placed many kids in foster care with a couple only, and in Delhi. So, as per Act, I'm 100% sure the foster care, the child will be placed with a couple only in foster care. And if I'm going to place a child with an individual, it becomes only fit person.
Yes,
so, but whereas in 2024 in the guidelines, they have by mistake, I do not know why they have given, they mentioned as individual.
Ma'am, actually, the thing is that thank you so much for highlighting this or highlighting on this, ma'am. But the thing is that when it comes to section 44 of the JJ Act 2015, they speak about foster family, ma'am. That's the thing.
Yeah, family means couple, father and mother only.
Yes, ma'am. Family means it is a couple. Because of that, you people would have given the children only in case of only with married couples. You would have given the children actually. So that's the thing. But the thing is that
it is mentioned very clearly in the adoption. An individual can adopt a child, whereas a child in a foster care, it has to be kept in the family as a couple only. Please, you can refer it. I think I have done more than 12-15 cases in my South District of Delhi. And we have, because the DCPO sees the family, and if they don't have any child, or if they have one child, if they want to take one more child as a sibling, so like that we have placed. And I was also part of a consultation of reduction of years from 5 years to 2 years also. That was my recommendation I given. Once the child is in the foster care for 2 years, the family can go for adoption of the same child also. So that is now in the form of rules also it has come.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think I'm convinced that only a couple can do the foster care. Otherwise, individual, it becomes a fit person.
To my 1 second, ma'am. As you said, we have a definition for foster family under section 2, clause 30, ma'am. There's no denial on it, as you said. Means the family found suitable by the district child protection unit to keep children in foster care under section 44. That is the definition of foster family. So nowhere it specifically says family is a couple, because there is no definition for family under the JJ Act 2015. Only for foster family, we have a definition under section 2, clause 30, ma'am. So when it comes to section 2, clause 30, if you go and refer section 2, clause 30 of foster family, it's nothing but it's a family found suitable by the district child protection unit to keep children in foster care under section 44. So that is what is mentioned actually. But in practice, we do it, ma'am. There's no denial on it, because I have also discussed with as you said, thank you so much for highlighting also, ma'am. Because the CWC members, when they go and make selection, when they go and give a child for individual foster care, they see to that the family is a very safe environment to the children. Because of that, they don't give it to single a male or a single female. They don't give it. There's no denial on it. But the act is not very clear on that, ma'am. Even the 2015 act as well as the 2024 guidelines also is not clear on it, ma'am. The reason being, it says foster family. There is no denial on it. But we cannot say family. There is no such definition anywhere under the legislation or anywhere in the law where a family means it should have a mother and a father, because there's no such understanding. It's only sociological definition which we have actually. So legal definition we don't have as such. Family means there should be an husband and wife, or there should be a mother and a father. That is what is family is nowhere defined anywhere, ma'am, actually. So Gaurav, will you please speak for a few minutes? The thing is that now foster family is defined, ma'am. There's no denial, as you said. Foster family is defined under the 2015 Act, and as per this 2015 Act, the foster family is also defined in a way where how do you do foster and foster care under Section 44. So when we go and refer to Section 44, it says that the child welfare committee will see to that the family is a fit family or the safe family for the child to give it foster care. That is what they'll verify. So that is a thing, ma'am. So, but in practice, what we understand is that because of practice, we understand is that family means necessarily there should be a mother and a father. Because of that, CWC members, you really take care of giving a child only to a proper couple. Because of that, you are taking that initiative. But the law is having ambiguity, ma'am. There is no denial on it.
Okay, I think actually we have refused one application also. The DCP also refused that. So I thank you. In fact, it's a maybe when we say family, then we thought it is only husband and wife.
No, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for highlighting, ma'am. Because only after you interacted with me, I too had a view actually on that. That's it.
Yeah, and also the group foster care. What you say? No, it's again an institution only.
Yes, ma'am. Again, it's an institution where a non-institutional care is given by an institutionalized institution. Actually, that's a thing. Non-institutional care is given by an institution. That is a thing.
Yeah, and I'm very happy to share where we have placed children in foster care in 2021.
Yes.
The COVID child, they lost the parents during COVID and all.
Yes.
More than 8 years and 7 years. We have placed them successfully with the families, and now they have been adopted also.
Yes, ma'am. That's a very nice thing actually. That in the foster care, that is a very best thing which is happening.
Yeah. So the permanency, like adoption, it also happens.
Foster care adoption. That is a thing.
Yeah, foster care adoption.
Excellent.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, and we are very happy that you also joined this forum. Actually, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to update and I want to, because yours is very excellent, I must say. It's very gripping, your session.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. But we got to know on a practical understanding how it is happening.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And so, Gaurav, now you can ask your question.
Just wanted to ask, you are saying group for
Gaurav, sorry, your line is getting disturbed, ma'am.
Gaurav, you're not audible.
amendments made in the JJ Act. Now the institution has been removed.
Gaurav, in between what you said, we lost actually. So could you please repeat it again? Sorry, because your line was.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah.
So if we see Section 21A of the Juvenile Justice Act as per the amendments made in 2022.
Section.
Section 21A.
21 of the.
21A of the JJ Act.
Yeah, tell me.
So that is added in the recent amendments made in 2022, in which foster care is completely family-based. Institution word has been removed. Basically, if you see that, and now there is no institution included in group foster care also. The example which we refer earlier in our discussion, that are now come under the institutional care, basically, like the SOS and other examples of Udan care you gave, that are come under that according to the law which is enacted now and which is applicable now. This type of care is considered as institutional care, basically. If you I give the reference of this section to you, that's why, because group foster care is now given only to the families. So
Uh,
family can
I
go for
think
group foster
Gaurav
care.
is right. The
yes,
group
yes,
foster care, Gaurav is right, I think.
yes, that is the thing actually. But the thing is that it is only after the amendment, but that amendment has not been enforced effectively so far.
Yeah.
That is another part, ma'am. That amendments has been enacted, but applicable or that has been implemented by CWC or DCPU in that way or not. That is other part. Some violations of the law usually go happen, and if we are unaware of some things, CWCs or DCPUs may made mistake. Some CWCs in the some far-flung areas, yeah, other like in the Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, we see. So they are practicing some many wrong practices.
Okay.
So
Ma'am,
because
can
I
I
am
add?
work,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, please.
please.
Gaurav, you're very right because recently I was listening to one of the sessions organized by the WCD where they laid emphasis that now the agenda of the government is not on the institutionalization of the children. It is more and more looking for the avenues and the possibilities of the non-institutionalization of children. So you rightly said that the focus is now more on non-institutionalization, and that is why government is coming up with the sponsorship even for the children in conflict with the law, so that how can we keep children away from the institution and bring them back into the families, may it be the foster or it be the biological adoptive. How come it, the more emphasis on uniting children with the families.
And furthermore, the thing is that Gaurav, as Ms. Shalini is pointing it out, today, not only today, after the UNCRC enactment is that we have a separate guideline specifically for non-institutional care. In fact, we use the term alternative care. So we are emphasizing not on the traditional care mechanisms. We are going for an alternative care mechanisms like foster care, adoption, and you spoke about kinship care. This kinship care, as you said, though the law has not been properly framed on it, or there is no specific guidelines to implement this kinship care, but still kinship care was a method of system that is prevailing now also. How do they do it is by way of sponsorship actually. For example, it is not necessary that only if the parents are not available, sponsorship is given. It is not like so. Even if the parents are available, but they are not economically viable, because of economic viable, not viability, if I'm not viable, I'll be placing my child to the out of our childcare institutions. So because of that, to avoid these kind of practices, only the government came forward for sponsorship mechanisms actually. So if I'm economically not viable, I can inform the state, so that the CWC, I can inform the CWC will facilitate me in getting a sponsorship mechanism. And similarly, where my, for example, after the death of me and my husband, if there is no person to take care of my child, if there are my brother's family or my brother-in-law's family who is interested, they can also come forward and they can give to inform CWC, saying so that they'll be taking care of the child. So for that, that child will be given certain protection mechanisms. But the law has not been properly framed. What sort of a protection mechanisms I will be receiving? That has not been highlighted under the legislation, as you said. And another important thing, we are talking these many things about children in care, child in need of care and protection. And as Ms. Shalini said, child in conflict with law also, we are trying to bring in non-institutional care. All these things we are talking about. But unfortunately or fortunately, though the legislation speaks about orphan children, but we do not have a separate mechanism of reservation or any privilege that is given to orphan children actually. So because you think and see, as there are many people who's from the CWC background in this forum, I wanted to highlight this here actually. The orphan, the word orphan is defined when I don't have a family, where you cannot even trace my family. At that particular point of time, you are I'll be sent to some kind of a childcare institution, and I'll be growing in that childcare institution, and I have to compete. See, when a child has a proper family and it is economically affluent and everything it receives, but I do not receive anything. I'm growing in an institution, but to receive any kind of a certificate or a reservation facility is very difficult for me. That has not been even highlighted in the law as such as of now. Tell me, Gaurav.
Ma'am, according to the new foster care guidelines, basically, if we see the issue which you raise is addressed,
Ah.
and also if you see the reservation component. 1% reservation is given to the children who are orphaned, abandoned, and surrendered
Yes.
under the OBC category. So, if we see that these things cannot be directly defined under the law, but government has taken steps and given such reservations and all for such children, and making some more progress towards these children also. Thank
Yes,
you.
but thank you, Gaurav. But which even I am aware of. But the practical difficulty in implementing it is very difficult, Gaurav, because I have spoken to few people who are under the childcare institutions where they say it is very difficult for them to receive these facilities for those children. So that's the thing.
Yeah, actually, CWC issues orphan certificate so that the children can get a good schooling and good college also.
Yes,
So that
ma'am.
is possible. So those are all in practice actually.
That is there in practice, ma'am, but not everywhere we are able to receive it. That's what I'm trying to point out to Gaurav.
Yeah,
Actually.
this such seminars will help.
Yes, ma'am. That is the
Awareness
thing, actually,
dissemination.
because
Yeah.
many of them even do not know about it. Actually, that is the thing I'm
Yes.
highlight. As Gaurav said, there is a guideline, there are rules. Actually, this is all within our own circle. Actually, and as Madam said, where they are even issuing that kind of a certificate, but it is not aware to many people. Actually, in fact, people who take care of childcare institution are also ignorant on that. So we need to tell them actually. So we need to talk to them. No, you can receive it. You can avail it. All these things we need to say them. And moreover, in all the places, again, this foster care group, foster care which we're talking about, again, it is not that everywhere it is placed in the same footing by the child care institution also. Child CCI also under the child care institutions when it is registered, it is not under the same category. It is registered everywhere. So in order to address all these kind of ambiguities, only this 2024 guidelines came into picture actually. So that's the thing. So do you have any other questions?
Just one comment only from my side, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Tell me, ma'am.
Actually, in India, we are not very much convinced about the foster care as
Yes,
much as we are convinced for the adoption. So, actually, foster care is a better option when I, in fact, see the adoption also, because you have got a lot of disruptions happens in the foster care. Here, at least the child also knows that he is being fostered by this parent. The parents also knows. So there is acceptance and the growth is better. Whereas in adoption, the child is not able to know whether he's adopted or own or anything. Then the disruptions are more. So I would rather prefer the foster care, but the conviction is not there. Even in Delhi, we have got 10 CWCs. Actually, 9 CWCs are not having conviction also.
Yes, ma'am.
So though the government is pushing not pushing, they are asking for deinstitutionalization. This is a better form of care than children languishing in the child care institution.
Ma'am, thank you so much for that. Because my research topic is also that, and my conclusion was also on that, ma'am. So I submitted my thesis in the month of March itself, but April only government took this brought this new guidelines. Yes,
Okay.
that is the thing, ma'am. I submitted in the month of March, and in April this new guidelines came.
Okay.
Actually, I'm also working on it. So only when Gaurav was talking about, I was also able to tell actually. So that's the thing. In fact, my thesis was on supporting the bringing of or promoting foster care only, ma'am, because
Yes.
that would be the best option in case of India like country. That is what is my conclusion also, because we have a cultural difficulty, societal difficulty here. So foster care would be a better alternate, ma'am, here.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, just one reflection on this.
Yes, Gaurav. Gaurav?
Ma'am, just one reflection on this.
Yes, tell me.
Basically, adoption is deeply rooted in our society and in our societal norms. Basically, that's why adoption has its own relevance. Basically, if we thought of foster care and implementing the foster care program in India, we face too many difficulties. So the reason of difficulty is the thing that foster care concept is not ingrained in our society.
Can I tell
So
you?
that's why people are not coming out for the foster care.
No.
And the concept of kinship care, which is mentioned, which is in our society, has been kept out in the law, and foster care has been implemented in the law. So if we go for kinship care and define kinship care under the law and made the guidelines for the kinship care, because rights are being secured in the kinship care of the child also. But you see, why it is because I am once in a ISEN workshop that is for foster care and aftercare basically. And I have asked this question: why we don't introduce kinship? So kinship has its own drawbacks basically. People are usually most of the cases which came to the legal system that are like for the property, for some other immaterial things. People are taking care of the child so that they can grab that property, they can own that property, or they can make a hold of that property. So that's why kinship care, I think so that has been obsoleted. But in my view, kinship care should be there in the law and in the guidelines also. In the previous guidelines of the NISC, we see kinship care is there in the first para of introduction, but in the new
Gaurav?
guidelines, kinship has obsoleted basically. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav. But the thing is that you're right when you say that adoption is more seen in the society. The reason being, when I conducted my research, I came to know that most of the common public, even including lawyers, most of the lawyers do not know what is foster care. So it is not that we are not interested in foster care, it is that we are ignorant about foster care. Because of that, foster care is not getting promoted. Nor in case of Indian, like a society like India, where we have a strong cultural values, because you only few minutes before highlighted to us also, and it was I told you it was a very old data actually, where these many children were returned. After adopting, the children were returned back again. So think of the child's perspective and perception, what it would undergo, what kind of a mental trauma it would undergo. So for that, the better alternate and better option would be this foster care only, Gaurav. So that is the thing actually. And as you rightly pointed out, kinship care needs to be strengthened. Kinship care should be given a proper guideline and a legal framework. There's no denial on it. But as you by yourself has pointed out that in a particular conference or in a seminar, they have rightly said that there is a higher degree of chances the child will be only looked for the sake of its property or for its value, nothing else actually. But even then, if there is a legal mechanism to regulate it or to look after it, it would be a better option. There's no denial on it. But in comparison with adoption and foster care, if you ask me personally, I'll say foster care would be a better thing, because many of them do not even know about the concept of foster care. In fact, this foster care can be given on very alternate basis. For example, Kerala, they introduced before Corona, they introduced a concept called as vacation foster care. So the child who are there in the childcare institutions, they will have an option of at least being with the family for a small time or for a shorter period actually. So that is the thing. You can regulate it in a very different manner and you can do it. But problem in India is that we are very ignorant on this. Only few people are aware of foster care system or group foster care. Many of them do not even know about it, because as I interacted, because it was my 6 years of research actually, when I interacted with many people, they are not aware of this foster care system to a larger extent. That is the reason actually. So that's the thing. But in case, as you said, kinship care, it should be rightly given a proper legal framework and a guideline. I do admit it. Thank you. So is there any other questions? Or do you want me to talk about any other topic which you feel that I have left out? Because initially when we started itself, it has become an interactive session. I really enjoyed the interactions actually.
Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Actually, kinship care can be done through a relative adoption also, no?
Yes, ma'am. The relative adoption also it can be done. But the
So
thing
relative
is
adoption is very much there in the JJ Act.
There is
so much of there. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. That is there in the JJ Act. But the problem is that, no, ma'am, sometimes they may not be interested to adopt the child actually, because tomorrow the child will also ask their property also. So they will not be interested actually. So because of that, kinship care alone, exclusively, if it is strengthened, it would be better, they are saying, ma'am, actually. So that's, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And one more point is, in case of such the tribal culture, basically we see the cases of remarriage.
Yes.
And it will go 2-3 times.
Yes,
so in that case, this kinship care has failed basically. sponsorship will work out because tribals have low income and all, so sponsorship is
That
well
is the
working.
thing, Gaurav. There is very
Adoption is
simple
also
concept.
one more thing that is
Gaurav, you can have only one simple concept in your mind. That because of the JJ Act as well as the UNCRC emphasizes on one important thing, that is nothing but the best interest of children. So, which is best, the interest of the child will be taken care in its best, will be taken that proper appropriate method. We cannot say it is not a tailor-made method. You cannot say this one alone will be correct, this alone only will be correct. We cannot say so. It is only because of that we emphasize the term best interest of children. So based on the given situation, based on the circumstances, and what sort of psychological issues the child is undergoing, based on that we have to decide whether kinship care is good, whether sponsorship is good, whether foster care is good, whether adoption is good. And as you rightly pointed out, kinship care needs to be strengthened because the law has not strengthened it. That's it. Yes. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you so much. Is there any other thing? What's
So we had actually planned. Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I'm hearing you.
Ma'am,
Yeah, it's audible.
yeah.
You are audible.
Yes, okay. So yeah, we had actually planned to have but I'm hearing you a bit delayed. I don't know why, whether the issues with my internet or yours. Anyway, ma'am, I just I was wanted to suggest is that we complete the session with foster care today because we had planned to have surrogacy as well in today's topic. So if you have any other points like with regards to foster care, you can share that, and we will end today's discussion. And we may have the rest of the contents that we have to cover on a different date, if that's okay with you.
Yes, we'll do that actually. And I have a feeling that
Yeah.
this forum had all respectable people like CWC members were there, and people who are working with this one child welfare committee is there. So CWC members and also other persons who research scholars were there. So why not we'll have some brainstorming session, like exclusively taking one particular topic, and we'll have interaction, how it goes practically, like that sort of an interaction we have. Because when Vaidehi madam highlighted many things,
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
and Shalini, Ms. Shalini was highlighting on many aspects actually. So there were people from different forum here. So and they are really looking into it in a practical angle. So if it is a brainstorming session, so that we can understand both the theory as well as the practicality, that would be better. So if they are interested, also you can ask them, and we can have such kind of a session. If ma'am is also interested, that's it.
Yeah.
Definitely, ma'am. We can
have
coordinate.
one more session, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, sure. We'll do that.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Vaidehi, ma'am, if you have my contact number, and also Gaurav, if you guys have my contact number or email ID, you can write to me or you can call me, or you can post your contact information in the chat box now itself, and we will get in touch with you and we can plan a session accordingly.
Because we can specifically, exclusively for, now Gaurav was highlighting more on the 2024 guidelines. We can exclusively plan a session like that. So
Yes.
what it has left, what it has been not addressed, and all these things we can cover, so that.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, posted, I guess. Yes, ma'am also has given her number so that you can have.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible, Kritika. Tell me.
It was a very eye-opening session, ma'am, for young lawyers like me. And you said about the lawyers, even lawyers, a lot of lawyers are not knowing about the foster care. Actually I face like this type of situations with some lawyers in practically. So I can connect with that. And one more thing, I just want to ask personally, ma'am, personal question regarding your thesis, ma'am.
Yes, tell me, please.
What interest, or is there any specific or strong reason to take this foster care as your topic, your title?
Yes. The thing is that I was doing my research. I registered my research in the year 2015. Actually, 2015. I was undergoing the process, and 2016 I registered actually. So at that time, before that, in 2015, we had this judgment of the court, re-exploitation of children in the orphanages in the state of Tamil Nadu. So that case was there before the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court gave certain guidelines and directions on that. So at that particular point of time, while I was referring to it and I was researching on that aspect, I came to know that there are things which we have not addressed so far, and why even in spite of adoption taking place, in spite of all these things are there, why children are still abused in the orphanages. That is how I started my exploring that area actually. So while I was exploring, the court itself, when you go and read the judgment, it would have talked about this foster care. So then I started to explore about that, and later I found out there are various methods which is prevailing, and moreover, even before a law was in picture, there were certain institutions which was rendering group foster care. So all these things I came to know. So that kindled my interest, and because of that, I started to explore more on that. So that's
Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Kritika. And another thing is that I was just not
So if you
saying
have
this.
any other concluding remarks regarding the topic, you can state them, ma'am.
Yes, a small concluding remark, nothing else. Family is a very essential unit for every individual, and for a child, it's more and more of essentiality, and that can be rendered to the child by any means. So, as you all initially started the discussion by saying, what to say, family is a small unit, even world is a family. That kind of a very magnanimous thought was there in your minds, actually. So, when world is a family, then why can't we give some kind of a protection to children who are around us without a proper family or a proper care? So that was my concluding remark. So compared to all of us, compared to everyone, child really requires a family or a family like support system. So that family like support system can be given by any means through an effective legislative aspect. So that should be our aim and goal. That's it. And I thank Subramani and Kritika for organizing this. I never expected this kind of a interactive group it will be. And I could see Gaurav was from some UNICEF organization. I initially, when Gaurav was discussing, I was not thinking that he should be from this organization. When I saw his mail ID, I saw it's from UNICEF actually. So there are many stalwarts and luminaries who are listening to it actually, because I know you people know more than me, but still you were very humbly listening to me. So thank you so much for that. And you also added many valuable points to me. So it was not only like I shared what I know, I also learned from you people. Thank you so much for that.
So even we didn't expect today's session to be so in this manner, because I mean, considering the previous sessions.
Thank you, Vaideki.
So anyway,
you.
thank you so much, ma'am. So as we conclude today's session, I'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Indira for her exceptional presentation on the right to family and care as part of our Law Comrades Child Rights and Webinar series, Child Rights and Wellbeing webinar series. So today's session was more than just a webinar. It was an enlightening session filled with thoughtful discussions and deliberations and intense interactions between our speaker and the participants. So I think it was because of your ability to ignite such a dynamic and engaging discussion, your insights is what contributed, which is truly commendable, ma'am. Thank you so much. And so your insights on diverse experiences of children, those privileged to live with their biological parents, their relatives, and who do not have the opportunity for having a parental care, and the situations of children with adoptive parents and those placed under foster care were incredibly impactful. And I hope to collaborate with in our forum. We would like to collaborate with you again for future topics as well. So thank you so much, and also thanks to our participants as well for having such a great interaction, and your inputs were really valuable. Special mention to Ms. Vaidehi, Mr. Gaurav, and Shalini Sharma. And I'm sorry if I've left some other participants' name. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Participants are requested to post your feedback in the feedback form link given in the chat box as well as in the WhatsApp group.
So shall I leave Subramani and
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah.